After 300 years of taking their labor, exploiting their labor and enriching themselves to build themselves into the most powerful nation on earth, they have left the Caribbean peoples illiterate and unhealthy. Which means that the governments today now have to clean up illiteracy and clean up the ill health. Do not have the resources to do it. We now have in the Caribbean an explosion of chronic diseases. We have 60% of the black people in the Caribbean over the age of 60 have hypertension or diabetes, or both.
Hello my beautiful people, how are you doing today? I hope you're all keeping well and staying informed as always. Welcome back to Trending Pulse Worldwide, where we explore the most thought-provoking stories shaping our world today. And if you're new here, you're very welcomed. And my name is Amy, and let me just tell you, you've just landed on a very deep conversation today. The clip you just watched, that was from a powerful professor giving one of the most brutally honest takes I've ever had about the long-term impacts of slavery on the Caribbean people. And when I say impact, I'm not just talking about history books and documentaries. No, we are talking about genetics, education, and the ongoing effects that are still shaping communities to this very day. And this video will challenge what you think you know, and it may make you uncomfortable at some point, and honestly, as it should. Because this isn't just about the past, it's about what that past left behind and how it shows up in people's lives right now. But listen, I won't give too much away just yet. Let's get back into the video so you can hear the full message for yourself, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about the roots, the research, and the responsibility. So stay with me.
I like to use Jamaica as an example. After 300 years, the British left Jamaica with 80% of its people illiterate. When Jamaica went into independence, in 1962, 80% of the people were functionally illiterate. And then you say to Jamaica, with their 2 million people, go and develop. There is no nation on this planet using any method of economic development that could transform a society with 80% illiteracy into a developed nation in 50 years. It is impossible. Because from the illiteracy springs a whole range of other conditions. From the illiteracy springs a whole range of other conditions that undermine the best thrust for development. You have to deal first with removing illiteracy. Then you have to move to deal with health, because health and illiteracy are linked. We have 60% of the black people in the Caribbean over the age of 60 have hypertension or diabetes, or both. Now, if you take the single criterion of chronic diseases, hypertension, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, if you take that simple criterion, the black people in the Caribbean are the unhealthiest people on the planet. And you have to understand that. On the one hand, we are watching Usain Bolt and we're watching the Caribbean athletes. We're watching the Caribbean with an image of being the most athletic people on the planet. But beneath that image of these super sportsmen and women is the hard reality that we are now the sickest people on the planet. In every black family in the Caribbean, hypertension and diabetes is endemic and congenital. In my family, almost everybody over 60 has hypertension and diabetes. And it's the same for your families, for all of our families. There is an explosion of ill health in the Caribbean. And this is a legacy of slavery and colonization. You take a people, put them on an island for 300 years, give them salt fish and salt pork every day, overwork them, undermine them, sell their children, rape their wives, make them work 20 hours a day, overwork, malnourish, and take them through that stress profile of physical and mental terror. What you get? Hypertension and diabetes. It was the same then as it is now. When your doctor tells you to learn to relax, take out your salt. Well, you can take out the salt, but your foreparents couldn't take it because that's all they had, salt. And now the result is that black people in the Caribbean cannot metabolize salt and sugar. Because for 300 years, that is what we were fed on plantations, plus the stress. So we cannot metabolize salt and sugar, and now we all have a salt and sugar problem, hypertension, diabetes. And we are spending millions of dollars to deal with this. Millions of dollars we are spending to fight hypertension, diabetes in the Caribbean. That is going to be the #1 economic crisis in this region next 20 years, unless we find an answer to it. At the University of the West Indies, we've started to do this research. And I can share with you the problem that we're having. The drugs that are being used to treat high blood pressure, for example, have been clinically tried on Caucasian peoples because they are the majority in the markets. The drugs are 95% efficient on a Caucasian body because when you take a hypertension drug, what happens, the drug goes into your body, it sends a message to your cells to open up, let the blood come through. It sends a message, okay. When a white person takes that drug, the cells have a 90% response. When an African black person in the Caribbean takes that drug, we have a 70% response. So we are still dying at a faster rate. When you see people in the 60s and 70s having strokes and heart attacks because of hypertension, it is because the drugs are not working. They're not working as well as they should. Now, the important thing about this is that the drugs work on the Africans. The drugs work on the Africans as well as they work on the Caucasians. But they don't work on us because something happened to us. You see, so when an African in Nigeria and Ghana and so on takes the drugs, she has a good response. When the Europeans take it, they have a good response. But in the Caribbean and in the New World, the Africans over here don't have that response because something happened to us. Because we have been genetically modified during that slavery period. It doesn't work on us. And now we have to find out.
Let's sit with that for a moment, because that wasn't just a rant. That man dropped facts with weights, facts that many people avoid because they're too uncomfortable to confront. So first of all, let's talk about what he said regarding genetic modification during slavery. And think about that. He's suggesting that enslaved people, especially in the Caribbean, were treated so violently, so cruelly, and for so long that it actually began to affect the very makeup of their DNA. Some medications don't even work properly on some people or Caribbean descent because of this very history, according to him and the research they are doing. Well, that is not just history, it's biology, and that trauma is so deep it got passed on in the bloodline. Now, let's get into that part where he mentioned illiteracy in Jamaica. He said 80%, and that is huge. And whether or not you agree with the exact figure, the systemic suppression of education during slavery and colonization absolutely has generational effects. And it's not that Caribbean people are inherently illiterate. It's that illiteracy was never meant for them during the time of slavery. And the system that replaced it barely tried to fix that. And it's still playing catch up centuries later. And this professor didn't stop at calling out the past. He called out how little has been done to heal it. He said even today, governments are scrambling to do research to figure out how to solve these very problems because the medications, the policies, the systems aren't working for these same communities. So guys, let me ask you this. Do you agree with what this man said? Do you feel these effects in your own communities, your family, or even in your own health and education as well? Let's have that conversation in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts, your experiences, your questions. And if you haven't already, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe for more videos that aren't afraid to go there, because we don't just react, we also reflect. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care of yourself and take care of each other.